Hello and welcome to Know Before You Go for the Feast of All Saints. I'm Father Scott Steinkerchner, the technology guy. We had wonderful readings. The second reading kind of sums up what it's all about. It's the 1 John, and he says, we are children of God right now. Imagine. But then imagine what we will become. Something even better is waiting for us when by our baptism we're already children of God, adopted into God's family. So then in the first reading we go to the book of Revelation. Always interesting. And in this scene from the book of Revelation, the angel comes out of the east and he summons the destructive angels from the four corners. And he says, but wait, before you do, let me mark with a seal on the foreheads all of the saints. It's sort of reminiscent of the Passover, right? God is going to kill the firstborn of man and beast. He says, but have this feast, sacrifice a goat or a lamb, and then take the blood and put it over the lintel of your door, and the angel of death will pass over your family so no one dies. Same thing, the destructive force people mark, except we have an opposite outcome here. In this story, everyone, the good and the bad, are going to have to go through the trials. The difference is those who believe will go through it with faith. And in the end, they'll be singing around the throne of heaven with joy, with rapture. But they all go through the trial. So that's the context then for the gospel, a classic, the Beatitudes, according to Matthew. Now it starts out in a time, remember when Jesus, there were a lot of different opinions about what it meant to be faithful. They're in a time of trial. The Romans are there and they've occupied the land. And how can you be faithful with this foreign force imposing their view of God? Foreign gods. And so there's different opinions. The Zealots say we fight. The Sadducees say, no, we make amends. We do what we can. We don't need to antagonize these people to be faithful. The Pharisees say, we emphasize who we are as Jews and put a fence around that law and observe everything the law says in an external way. And then, of course, there's the people like in the Qumran community, did we have more data on them now, who pulled back and said, no, we are the poor in spirit. We can't save ourselves at all from the Romans. Let's put our hearts on God and God will save us. So it's into that context that Jesus comes. And it starts, Jesus saw the crowds, everyone, and he went up to the mountain and he sat down. And the disciples came to him and he began to teach. The mountain is where God speaks. And Jesus sitting down is a teacher, and on the mountain is given the oracle from God. This is a definitive teaching. And he's going to say, yes, of all these things, it's confusing. Let me cut through the confusion and tell you what really matters. And he starts to teach them saying, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven, right? What is to come, standing around the throne singing. But where Luke, when he quotes this as blessed are the poor, beggars he means. Matthew has the poor in spirit, which by the way is what those people in Qumran called themselves and many other Jews of his day. These are the people, the poor in spirit, who recognize that we can't save ourselves. We have to trust God to save us. So set our hearts on God. Not the way the Pharisees do it, not the way the Sadducees do it, not the way the Zealots do it. But there's some kinship with that Qumran community. Then blessed are they who mourn, for they will be comforted. How could you see this and not mourn? If you don't shed a tear for what's going on, there's something wrong with you. But God isn't going to keep you from mourning. It says they will be comforted. Again, at the end, in heaven, they will be comforted. But everybody has to suffer in between. That's just the way things are going to go. So it goes down the list with all these different things, and I'll let you look at it and think about it yourself. But in this context of, we are in a very similar situation now. A lot of different people have a lot of different views on what does it mean to be faithful in the midst of this tumult, and who has the right way. Judge for yourself on this criteria. Are you the poor in spirit, trusting that only God has the answer? No people have the answer. The government can't save us. Are we mourning? Do we feel the pain around us? Or do we just say, oh no? Blessed are the meek. That is the people who are truly powerless. Widows and orphans, they'll inherit the land. Blessed are the merciful, it says, who help others, who care about the suffering of others. Blessed are the clean of heart or pure of heart. Those are people whose actions match their inner dispositions. They have integrity between what they believe and what they do. Those are the people who will get to heaven, not the hypocrites who are like whitewashed sepulchres, right? And then this whole thing ends with, blessed are you when they insult you and persecute you and utter every kind of evil against you falsely because of me. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward will be great in heaven. Our suffering now doesn't mean we've lost God's favor. It might be exactly that we're living exactly as we should be living. Did we have God's favor? We need to accept some suffering now for the sake of what might be, for the sake of the Anawim, for the sake of those who mourn. Mourn with them. Don't avoid it. Help out so that all might be spared from this pandemic. Don't just wish it away or cause more people to get sick by your own actions. This is how we live out the Beatitudes in our day. And the good news is, if we approach this with faith, then there is something so much better waiting for us. One day we will be singing around that throne with everyone, with the multitudes. And then it will make sense. So let's go out and do that this week and go vote. God bless you.